Welcome back. Look who it is. Tim Watson, our
me.
attorney, joining us. He's here to give us some useful information about the law and how it might help you. Thanks to Watson & Watson for sponsoring, and thanks for being here, Tim. Great to see you.
Yeah, man. Great to be back. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, sure. So I understand there is more to a law than just being able to prove that someone has done something wrong. You also have to prove those consequences.
That's right. Yeah. So generally two kinds of lawsuits. You know, everybody knows criminal law.
Sure.
Everybody's seen Law and Order. I think criminal law is much more popular on TV. Everybody kind of knows how it works.
Right.
Somebody commits a crime. The state of Arkansas prosecutes that crime on behalf of the victim.
Right.
State of Arkansas has to prove that somebody has done something wrong, and then they have to argue to a jury what that sentence should be. Somebody, for instance, commits a murder. The sentence is prison.
Right.
Typically. For a long time. So civil cases, same thing. First, you have to prove that somebody did something wrong, but then you have to prove what the consequences are. What should happen because somebody did something wrong?
Okay.
So sticking with the theme of murder, in civil law, there is a claim called wrongful death.
Okay.
If you cause somebody's death, if you, by some wrongful act, cause somebody's death, not only might you be liable in criminal court for murder, you might be liable in a civil case for wrongful death.
Okay.
And in addition to proving that the person who committed the wrongful act is liable for the death, you also have to prove what the consequences should be. And in civil cases, that typically means money, typically seeking some kind of compensation for the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take it back a step. Maybe it's not murder that we're talking about, but maybe it's an injury to someone. So in a criminal case, the injured person or family goes to the police, and the state of Arkansas takes it from there, and then the criminal will then go on to prison, as you've suggested.
We hope.
But the injured person still has suffering those consequences of the injury, and they still have to hire an attorney.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, by far, most cases don't have a criminal component. I mean, somebody gets injured, somebody gets hit by a truck, or somebody is in a medical procedure and the medical professional does something wrong. So that's medical malpractice. Mm-hmm. And medical malpractice is just fancy negligence. Negligence, somebody had a duty to do something, they didn't do it. Because they didn't do it, it caused an injury. That's the first part that you have to prove. But then you also have to prove what the compensation should be, because what are the consequences of that injury?
Sure.
So you're right. The family, if somebody dies, unfortunately, or the injured person themselves, have to go out and hire an attorney. And in a lot of these cases, sticking with medical malpractice, for instance, they can be really expensive.
Yeah.
You can't file a medical malpractice case, can't even file in Arkansas, unless I have, as the attorney, an expert who has reviewed the medical records and has told me in their opinion, this doctor did something they weren't supposed to do. Because they did it, it caused an injury. And then typically that same doctor or another doctor might say, here's the consequences of that injury. And these are doctors who aren't doing this for free. They've got to be paid for their time. And even not in a medical malpractice case, if somebody has been severely injured and you've got to prove what the consequences of that injury are, often you have an expensive expert that has to be paid for.
Every time we have you in, I feel like you talk about things that seem simple but can be very complicated, and that's why I think hiring an attorney is so important, right? So if you're out there and you think that Tim and his team could give you some assistance, then we've got some information on your screen right there about how you can reach out. There's the phone number. There's the website. Tim, it's always great to have you on. You always bust some myths and fill my head with a lot to think about. So we appreciate you and your time.
Love to be here. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.